Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmati Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om. Namaste. Okay, I have Mark here on my screen. So in the internet, it appears me because I am the main speaker. Every time I'm talking, I'm the one. But it's good to have one of you here with me, as I explained before. We begin today from verse 98. We are concluding the Mandukya Karika. This final verse is so beautiful. But never mind. Vedanta is beautiful all through. We're going to go into Keno, and we're going to get great fun there, great knowledge. We'll enjoy, get wisdom. All jivas are naturally pure, free from ignorance, self-effulgent, liberated from the very beginning. Beginningless, liberated. Okay, beginningless, liberated. The wise say that they know this. The unwise does not understand this. That's the point. The unwise cannot understand this, one's true nature, which is pure. There is nothing other than shining consciousness. And it's beyond ignorance, beyond knowledge that cancels ignorance. It's the very source from where knowledge and ignorance emerge. And it's important to understand that from consciousness, knowledge arises, which is sattva guna. And what we call ignorance is a negative entity. It's just the absence of knowledge or light. We say that it's due to avidya, which is excess of tamoguna and some excess of rajoguna operating in the mind of the human jiva. Knowledge and ignorance is relevant only in regards to the human jiva, of course. And the most intriguing thing is that this nature of consciousness, which is pure and it's free, it's beginninglessly liberated and free from anything. And it is self-luminous. When we say self-effulgent, it's self-luminous, and therefore it is self-evident. Okay, so how can a principle which is self-evident shine in the human intellect to produce the human mind, the human intellect, the human consciousness, and it shines with consciousness, and yet it remains hidden, quote unquote, to the very intellect on which it is shining? It is really intriguing, isn't it? It's very intriguing because everywhere we say it's self-evident, self-luminous, self-effulgent, and yet we miss it. Yet all Jnana is missing it. It's missing. And what is ignorance? It's difficult to explain a video. Vedanta says that it's just wrong notions and concepts that somehow discounts this consciousness, which immediately begins trying to define itself as the body-mind sense complex. Why does that happen? I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I'm a little bit with Ishwara. He could have produced jivas with a little bit more sattva guna to avoid this compelling tendency of identification with that which is temporal, that which is limited in every sense. But that's the name of the game here. In this dance order, it seems that one is born with this video ignorance, although consciousness is shining self-evidently, self-effulgently, and it's totally free from what? From the instrument of experience and the world it is experienced through that instrument. It's totally free. You know? So it means it's free from ignorance because, ignorance is something that is not related to consciousness, but it's related to the makeup or construct of the mind. And that's where I am a little bit upset with Ishwara. Why to produce minds with so much tamoguna? Huh? Things will be much easier if this mind, which requires a physical apparatus, on which it is anchored, with the sense organs and sense instruments, this mind, it does need some tamoguna. It's okay, it's understandable, to ground it to the physical body, you need some tamoguna. It has to have some density to itself. It needs to have some energy, so to go for all possible pursuits of life, for human life. And it has sattva, it has sattva, which allows the aham, which, unfortunately identifies which is the anatma nature, which is the body, the physical body. So it seems that in the past I used to speculate that maybe in order for this mind to be structured and anchored in the physical body, the mind requires some excess of tamoguna. But it's very strangely, this does not hold much, this speculation, because as we grow, we develop more sattva guna, and then we start, following these teachings in the light of the Upanishads. And then we develop more sattva guna, and the mind still holds itself anchored to the physical body. So I stopped saying, speculate on those terms, because I say, no, the yanis or the great sages, they're still there. They don't lose the benefit of or the power to remain structured within the physical body just because it's shining with so much sattva guna, so much wisdom, so much beauty, or whatever. No, it's still there. So, but somehow here in our planet, we are born out of a huge, dense self-ignorance or spiritual ignorance. And we navigate through this ignorance, and it's tough to develop enough sattva guna. And even when we develop enough sattva guna, it tends to remain extrovert to the world of scientific knowledge. Very rarely it just wants to know the true nature of reality. We see the mind, by tracing the intellect back to its source, it wants to look for reality in the anatma world. So we will never have real answers to these questions. Unfortunately, I don't have a guru next to me that I could poke him again and again asking these questions. I just present it to the universe and to you guys. And who knows, maybe some answers will pop here and there. In the previous verse, Gaudapada said that those who are caught up in the transactional based on association can never remove ignorance. So in the previous verse, he was saying that those who really believe in that they depend on association and on relationships, and they are never going to remove the self-ignorance, because you remove only to the extent that you understand that your true nature does not depend on anything. It's asanga. Does not have any relationship, and if it needs a relationship, the first relationship is with Ishwara, and then later on we can let go of that relationship acknowledge that what I am is free of relationship, but yet honoring my relationship with Ishvara, because Ishvara has revealed the scriptures. And then one, the Jnani, the wise, remains devoted to Ishvara as well. You understand? So this may be taken to imply that there are two things in the universe. There is the self, Atma, and there is Avarana, okay? So Avarana is a certain power to conceal reality to the human mind, human intellect. There is an Avarana. Let's see if Swami is going to elaborate a little bit more on this concept of Avarana. It's very subtle. It's very difficult to grasp. And then there is another principle. There is another principle, which is what? It is the revealing power. So usually it's presented to us two principles or two factors. One is the power that conceals, because in order to project this universe, energies have to grossify to become physical matter. And then once we have this physical matter, and then we are surrounded for so much Tama, and this Tama seems to be dominating human mind. So Avarana is associated to Tamoguna, which conceals reality from the human intellect. And the other is the revealing power, which is the Atma itself, because the Atma is self-revealing, as we know. Yeah? What is the revealing power? We say, the self is self-revealing. Yeah, but in more practical terms, the revealing power are the scriptures revealed by Ishvara, Brahman, Ishvara. So those are the revealing powers, and the Avarana power is somehow this concealing a phenomenon that happens, that hides from us the true nature of reality. And then he questioned, but the self, the Atma, is not really it's not really concealed, isn't it? Atma is never really concealed or covered by ignorance. Why? Because the Atma is self-conscious, self-revealing, self-luminous. Thank you very much, Swamiji. But we know that the Atma is beyond pleasure and pain. The Atma is not a knowing experience entity. We know that the Atma is never covered. It's the human intellect that is covered by wrong notions and concepts that needs to be neutralized by the revealing power, the so-called revealed scripture knowledge. No? Atma is never covered by ignorance because Atma is consciousness. It's always shining. And furthermore, Atma is I am, and I am is a declaration of I exist, and I'm aware that I exist. I'm consciously aware that I exist. So it shines as the Aham in the human intellect, which is an open declaration of my nature as consciousness, conscious existence. And then it says, whether you, we are aware of the world or not, we are always aware that I exist. Because before I address the world, I always say I am. I come first, and then the world comes. So I'm always affirming that I am a self-conscious principle, self-existing principle. And I am that because of which I can be aware of the external objects of this world, but I must be always aware of my shining light of consciousness. My shining light of consciousness is going to shine the world, okay? It's going to reveal the world. Since there is self-awareness always, there cannot be any covering to the self, to the Atma, no. So what is being covered is the human intellect, is the anatma human intellect that has to understand this teaching so that it resolves itself in consciousness, and then it says, I as consciousness, I am beyond knowledge and ignorance. I was under the spell of ignorance, I went through the Vedantic process by which I addressed this problem, and then gradually but surely the problem, the ignorance was neutralized, and now I remain as the Atman, that which is beyond knowledge and ignorance, that which is aware of knowledge and ignorance. The Atman is always free, is always self-aware. Nothing can cover the Atman, but the covering occurs in the human intellect. Then why we study Vedanta? Well, the Atman is always free and available and independent all the times. The problem is this avidya tendency. I've identified with the body. I am. Along with the I am, I see the body. And I experience the body, and somehow I sometimes I like to speculate that this aham has a fascination with defining itself. It's a good concept, good inquiry, because when the aham shows to the body, and then at certain age, immediately it wants to define itself. Can you imagine something, some conscious jiva or principle with enough intelligence to know I am and I exist, which is not really compelled to find a definition to this I am, I exist, And the educational system is going to direct everyone to define itself as the body. Everything around us is saying the body, the body, the body, the body, the mind, the mind, the mind, the body. The body, mind, the body, mind, the body, mind, and you have to be a good body, mind. So the Atma is always free. The intellect is under the spell of this cosmic ignorance. And then how are we going to do that? We need the teachings to neutralize this hardwired ignorance. So not that the experience of the world is going to be dropped. No, the experience is there, but I experience myself as the only reality. And then I experience the body, mind, and the world as the anathema reality or the mithya reality. But if I take the body to be myself, what I'm doing, I'm transferring the attributes of the body to that which is my true nature, identity. Now I am coloring my true nature with the attributes of gunas of Maya. So when I do that, what is happening? I'm transferring the redness of the rose to the crystal. So I'm misled to believe that my true crystal, my true nature, my true Atma is constituted, or configured by qualities, properties, and attributes. And then if I have attributes, I'm in trouble. If I take myself to have attributes, I'm going to look around and see who has better attributes than myself. And these attributes, they are always with me, or they can fade, or they can decline, or, so, and this is the body mind something that is all the time the same, or it's declined with aging, and the mind is declining with aging. All the attributes, they are flux in constant modification, as James used to tell in the past, that here in Mithya, everything goes south all the time, and I see it more and more, this simple statement, the trees decline, go south, the machinery I buy goes south, the body goes south, the house goes south, everything, living beings go south, and machinery goes south. You have to be maintaining this thing that goes south all the time. Go south, Philip, is an expression to say that it's decline, okay? If you get to a point that you're on top of your game, you say, okay, now I'm on top. Know that you're going to decline, and everything is going to decline as well around you. Go south. So how are we going to stop transferring these attributes of anathema to Atma. This is superimposition of Mithya and Satya. It happens all over the place. Most of these people who suggest that they are self-realized or enlightened, they are just superimposing or transferring attributes of Maya to the self and saying, yes, I am a great sage, a great Mahatma, a great enlightened person. We are not covering the Atma, but we are transferring the wrong attributes to the Atma. We are not covering the Atma, but we are transferring attributes of the anatima, which is the body-mind-sense complex, to the Atma. There is no covering. This is a different angle or perspective, which is more practical because it brings us to the moment-to-moment day of life that we are just doing that, transferring wrong attributes, false attributes to myself. I'm saying it's a great nididhyasana. Swamiji has the power to break down the teachings in a way that they become very practical. How I'm going to stop transferring these attributes which belong to my anatma nature, the body-mind complex, the gunas, how I'm going to stop transferring to the true nature, which is Atma. If I transfer to Atma, because I got the knowledge that there is an Atma and I am this Atma, this self, and I heard that I am limitless and beginningless and so on, but still if I keep transferring, I'm in a huge confusion. And then my knowledge is one thing, but because I keep transferring, I have an experience of limitation, whereas I have learned that my true nature is limitlessness. When the body is young, I do not say the body is young. I say I am young, I am strong, I am sharp. When the mind is disturbed, I say I am disturbed. We are transferring those attributes of an Atma to the Atma, my true nature, limitless nature. Self-ignorance is nothing but transference of anatima attributes to self-knowledge for the Atma, limitless Atma, and self-knowledge is the removal or giving up, transferring these attributes. I need to neutralize this tendency of transferring. I need to remove this tendency or cancel this tendency. So I need to stop transferring these attributes which belongs to my inferior nature to my superior nature. Otherwise, my superior nature is going to have no value except intellectual, academic knowledge. It's nididhyasana on a very profound level, this passage. Self-knowledge is canceling, removing all the attributes which belong to my inferior nature and keeping them where they belong. Keep them to my inferior nature, and I know I am attributeless consciousness. And what is the problem of having attributes to one's inferior nature? There are no problems. Everything here is defined and constructed with attributes, qualities, properties. And I accept that, and I accept that everything goes south with time, and I accept that every one of these constructs, they are very limited by nature, very, very limited. It's important. It's impossible to get more knowledge than Aham Brahmasmi, because if you want to be a saint, it's also a long road, in terms of purifying the attributes which belong to your inferior nature. Okay, it's beautiful. If that's how, to the degree you purify, more and more you're going to enjoy whatsoever karma you have left here. But know that your natma, body-mind constructs, which is, held together by qualities, properties, and attributes, which require tremendous effort to purify and refine so that you could get self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is freedom. The gaining of self-knowledge further purifies the body, mind, sense construct, but the construct is going to remain limited, however purified it is. There will be some impurity, some change, some situation, but you're going to be mostly protected from the problematic of samsara, your inferior nature, I mean to say. Leave it where it belongs. Don't transfer that to your true nature. All the jivatmas are all the time self-revealing. There is this aham shining in the human intellect, and this aham is ever pure. All the jivatmas are enlightened all the time. All jivatmas are this light of consciousness reflecting the human subtle body. Saying I am that I am indicates enlightenment. I am that I am. I like this mantra very nicely. Because when you say, I am so-and-so, I am man, woman, my profession. When I say I am something like that, I am just attached to the I am, the attributes which belong to my inferior nature. But if I say I am that I am, free of attributes, and then I'm good to go. It's equivalent to say I am Brahman. I am consciousness. Saying I am that I am indicates enlightenment. Any addition to that I am betrays your knowledge. I think there is a mistake there, or unless betrays there means something else. Can you help me? When I read that, I couldn't figure it out.
No, you're correct, Arlindo. Yeah. Betrays knowledge, yeah.
Any addition to that I am will betray my true nature, betray my self-knowledge. All the jivas are free, liberated all the time. Vedanta does not give knowledge and does not give liberation. Vedanta only cancels those misconceptions in the mind regards to what we really are. When the misconceptions are canceled, that canceling or removal is figuratively called enlightenment. Yani, the one who knows. So, but the point here is that everybody is this consciousness, but what is the purpose of all this process of spiritual development and growth and coming to Vedanta and getting this knowledge, internalizing this knowledge, and then you say, now I know, and my knowledge is firm, It does not serve anything because you are always that. Everybody is always ever that. Free, limitless consciousness. Everybody is enlightened. Everybody is a yani. A yani is a word that I like most. The best word to avoid confusion is a yani. Because enlightened person is too vague. But yani is that who knows. So once you know that your true nature is free from attributes, and once you have stopped transferring attributes of your inferior nature to your true nature, and then what happens? That which you heard 20, 30 years ago now has fructified in a way that your knowledge, your life are in harmony. They are in conformity. What it means is that I finally can enjoy my life because I live from the standpoint of my true nature, from the perspective of my true identity as consciousness of attributeless nature, limitless nature. So I'm not gaining anything new. So before I had no idea, most samsari have no idea, and they suffer. They suffer. Samsari do suffer. Anyanis do suffer. And okay, but there are There are people misleading people all over this spiritual marketplace. And say, no, do not do anything because you already that. Just relax. Understand? So how are you going to cancel that transferring of attributes, which has been going on for who knows how many lifetimes? You need knowledge. You need to go through this process to cancel this now. But what for if I was already that? You were already that, but you are not enjoying that. You were suffering. Why? Because you are holding on to these wrong nations of yourself by transferring the limitations of the body-mind to your true nature, and then you suffer. You can call it enlightenment, but the best thing is jnani, one who knows, and he knows clearly for good and properly internalized knowledge that is going to purify the body-mind sense complex to the extent that one can finally enjoy a sense of peace, a sense of love, a sense of freedom. We are not learning something new about ourselves. We are not experiencing something new. Yes and no. We experience what? We are not learning something new because the self is self-luminous and limitless consciousness. But we are learning something to the standpoint, from the standpoint of the mind who has so stubbornly identified with its inferior nature. We need to go through this process to learn that my true nature is not made up, construct by the gunas. That's what we are learning. Is it something new? No, yes and no. It's new because I was holding to wrong notions that I am a construct made out of attributes of the guna. Is it something new? Yes and no. And you are not experiencing something new. Yes and no. You continue to experience this world, but you experience from a different perspective. Now, finally enough, you experience from your true nature because you stop transferring that which belongs to your inferior nature to your true nature. And then you learn something that is important to be learned. You learn what you really are, which from the standpoint of ignorance is something new to be learned. And you are not experiencing a new world. The world is the same, but you experience it from a different angle, which makes things much nicer. Makes you appreciate this material world, howsoever tough it may be at times. The experience of I am is common to all jnanis and anyanis. Any bodily experience is common to both. But the jnani will not have a sense that I have the pain. The jnani distances itself from the bodily experience. So the sense of I am the attributeless consciousness minimize the physical pain as well. It does not cancel completely. You could see that in the expression, the facial expression of Ramana Maharaj when he was dying pain. But minimize big time. The psychological pain, totally, mostly totally canceled, removed. The physical pain, some may remain there, but not as strongly. The jnani will never say, I have pain. They say the body is really paining. Because the jnani distance, quote unquote, himself from the body experience by standing in consciousness as consciousness and objectifying the poor body. And the mind attached to the body is experience pain to a certain degree. The mind does not create a second layer of psychological suffering because the mind objectifies the pain and does not resist it. It just takes it as one's parabada, being exhausted. This internal distancing or detachment itself will greatly reduce the impact of all bodily experiences. So talking on those terms, will greatly reduce the impact. The sages figuratively call this removal of misconception, which is possible only by stopping this constant transferring of the attributes of Mitya in Satya. The sage figuratively called this enlightenment, self-enlightenment, self-knowledge. We need to call it something. We need to call it self-knowledge, self-realization, enlightenment, because silence will not help us much, as we know. Verse 99. So you guys stay free to make your comments or contribution.
I was thinking, Arlindo, that it reminds me of a biblical saying couched in terms of duality, but something like, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's and render unto God what is God's. It's like that understanding that the field, everything belongs to the field, just let Ishwar be. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Good point. Good reminder of those, you say popular sayings, many of them carries wisdom as well. Consciousness of the adorable, wise person does not contact objects at all. All jivas are the same. This knowledge is not expressed in the Buddhism. So consciousness of the wise does not contact objects at all. So what it means? Because as we know, the previous verse was saying that, or the Swamiji was presenting his commentary saying that the world and the body-mind remains there, means to say that we are all designed to contact duality, to contact these objects. But the difference is that the yoni, he calls them the adorable. This adorable is debatable because a great yoni, it's maybe more often than not, they are not appreciated by the masses, You need to have some very, very mature individuals to see the beauty of certain people, But consciousness of this wise, adorable yoni does not contact objects because they hold this perspective of knowledge that says everything is just a projection upon myself. So me. So I'm not contacting the things, deep inside, I'm contacting just consciousness because all of these appearances in consciousness, and consciousness is the screen of consciousness, is the mirror-like consciousness. So this knowledge is going to resolve all the namarupas, the objects, in consciousness as consciousness. Therefore, it's said that this sage with this knowledge develops great vairagya or equanimity because it sees things as just we see a play in the cinema hall. It's just a projection upon the screen of consciousness. All jivas are the same. Furthermore, it says all jivas are the same. This knowledge is not expressed by the Buddha. Again, he comes, all jivas are the same consciousness. Everything is happening within consciousness, and consciousness is the nature of all jivas. In the first line, Gaudapada talks about the mind of the yoni. In the second line, Gaudapada says that this is true for the anyani also, but they do not know about it. All jivas are the same. It's all the same. And then I don't need to do anything. Yes and no. Yes and no. If you want to really know, appreciate, and enjoy, your limitless nature, you need to cancel and stop. Cancel this wrong notion by stopping and transferring the limit attributes of your body mind to your true self. So Gaudapada also says that it's true for the Anyani, but they do not know about that. Yani says that the Yani is Advaitam, and it's unborn, it is a Sangha, and all the other things that defines the features of consciousness. The distance is that the Yani knows this fact as a fact, and the Anyani, or even the junior Vedantin, knows it, but it's not known as a fact. And the Anyani does not know it at all. No? The Anyani, there are Anyanis and Anyanis and Anyanis. There are Anyanis that never heard about this concept. They never questioned, they never inquired. Therefore, scriptures never came to them. So, and then there are the Anyanis in the process of gaining Jnana, and they know this, but not as a fact. There's still some doubt, suspiciousness, or vagueness, and so on. But the truth is that every jiva is of non-dual nature, Advaitam, one without a second, therefore free of any association, free of impurity, and so on. The consciousness of the wise, which is all-pervading consciousness, Satchitananda Brahman, does not contact anything, because in Satya there is only Satya, there is only Turiya, there is only consciousness, nothing to be contacted. There are no inclusions of anything coming from Mr. Maya. The Yani knows that in reality there is no second thing, there is only I consciousness, Turiya. In the case of the Anyani, this is also true, but it's not experienced as a fact. There are so many things that are true. I mean, Ishvara projects this universe out of laws and principles, which is equal to pure knowledge. Pure knowledge. We don't have access to this knowledge. Not having this knowledge, not having almost no knowledge, and the most important knowledge is spiritual knowledge, we suffer. The laws and principles that bring about this fundamental law referred to as causality or karma, cause and effect, actions and results. So it is a fact for the Anyani, but the Anyani cannot enjoy this as a fact. Why? Because the Anyani does not have a pramana siddham. Pramana siddham here goes to a means for self-realization, the scripture knowledge and the guru. He can make use of the Veda, get the pramana siddham, and claim as well his Advaita nature, but so rare to encounter, Matthew so really ready to go through the entire program. In the case of the Anyani, also this is true, but it's not enjoyed because it's far from being a fact. As I was saying, the samsari, they are just hitting their heads again and again, trying to resolve this problem, without entering the religious, spiritual realm of the Vedas. And then there are the Anyanis, who are spiritual, religious, Vedic people, that are working, beginning with the triangular format of relationship with God to go into the binary one. And some of them are still working to make this knowledge factual, doubtless knowledge. But the samsaris, the Anyanis that do not have even access to this pramana siddham, So a means by which you get self-realizations and freedom and moksha. So these samsaris, Anyanis, can make use of the Veda, gets Pramana, Siddhan, and claim one's Advaita nature, but it's a long road. One needs to become a karma yogi and begin to develop an understanding of God, of Saguna God. Gaudapada makes a proclamation that this teaching is given only by the Veda Pramana. Okay, I love when these things shows like that, because to me, the Vedas is the true source, the fundamental source of spiritual knowledge, spiritual wisdom, religious spiritual wisdom. Gaudapada also makes this proclamation that these teachings on self-inquiry and self-knowledge is available only by the Veda Pramana, and other systems, other religion systems, they are not even close together. I have such a conviction that this is a fact. I cannot say that because otherwise people say you're a fanatic. Every religious thinks the same way. I said, okay. Here, Gaudapada specifically mentions that Buddha did not give this teaching. Buddhism has some similarities with Advaita, but they do not come to say that the only true reality is Turiya consciousness. Buddhism also brings about the concept of Mithya and Satya. The word is Mithya, consciousness is Satya, especially the Yogacara Buddhism. But for the Buddhism, consciousness is real, but exists in contact with the world. And it's momentarily. So it appears and then it fades. It appears with every thought. There is so much of this in the spiritual marketplace. The influence of Buddhism is too big in the Western spiritual circles. Every experience, consciousness is arriving and then departing, as the object fades. There is a continuous flow of appearing and disappearing consciousness, and this is the self, according to the Buddhism. But the Upanishad teach that there is eternal consciousness, which does not change, does not come and go. It's there. There's the background in which the three states emerge. Further, Buddhism has refuted Veda Pramana. It said that Buddha has refuted the tradition of the Vedic tradition. Other people have done that more recently. It said that Buddha accepts only what is arrived at pure logic. So Pramana must be sustained by pure logic. And as we know, there are many things in the Vedic Pramana that cannot be sustained by pure logic. Okay. So when we talk about Maya, for example, logic, that understanding goes beyond the limited human intellect. Here, Gaudapada is a Vaidika. Vaidika is one who is totally in harmony or conformed with the Vedas. And Vedas talk about eternal consciousness as the only truth, and the Buddhists do not accept the eternal consciousness. Some academicians claim that Buddhism and Advaita Vedanta are the same thing. How can it be the same thing if it has refuted the Creator, Ishvara, and Brahman, and believes that reality is emptiness? Some academicians claim that Buddhism and Advaita Vedanta are identical in their view of the self. But if that is really the case, there would be no need for another system called Buddhism, because the Vedic teachings predates Buddha. So simply put, imagine that they're the same thing. Why people would come and say, okay, so it's the same thing, but now we come Buddhism. No, if you present a new school a new philosophical structure. You present because you want to present something in alternative to the traditional, teachings, the traditional Vedas. It's very interesting to see that some people, they have this tendency to rebel against tradition and reject it. And it seems there is always something about an arrogance of the ego. I saw that with my first guru, in Pune, that in the early days he was talking about God, and then later on he said, by the way, now I'm going to tell you the truth. I was talking about God to attract you. There is no God. And he started really putting all his cards on the table, rejecting completely the entire Vedic tradition. Entirely. It was so misleading. It created so much confusion. You understand? That's what he did. Why? Because he was a rebel spirit, as he used to say. A rebel spirit is going to challenge all traditions, okay? Without knowing that he's rebelling against something that, has the power to truly liberate people, including himself or herself. It feels to me almost like a reaction, similar to a child that starts saying no to everything coming from dad and mom, Having known the reality, which is incomprehensible, very profound, unborn, uniform, pure, and non-dual, we offer salutations according to our capacity. This is the last verse. It's so beautiful. Now, after going through the entire Mandukya and my Karika, say Gaudapada, we get the knowledge of a reality which is incomprehensible by logic, by intellectual logic. It's incomprehensible. You only know that, yes, I am, I exist, and I know my true nature to be attributeless. But more than that, we cannot know. It's the only knowledge that is not subject to error, is self-knowledge. Having known the reality of Aham, which is incomprehensible to the human logic, which is very profound, which is unborn, uniform, pure, and limitless. We, and he's talking to himself, we all offer salutations to this sampradaya, to this tradition, according to our capacity. What it means to our capacity. The more mature, the more pure, the more refined, greater is this gratitude to Ishvara, the scriptures, even to the guru that comes. The last on the line is the guru, that nobody likes to give gratitude to the guru, but he puts himself there. We offer salutations according to each one of us capacity, As I shared with you not long ago in the Purnima day, recently, the two of you sent me a note of happy Purnima, blah, 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 blah. And then I mentioned that to my Brazilian Sangha, because there are so many people and nobody even express gratitude in the day of the Guru, because it requires a certain refinement to see value in Ishvara and the tradition, the scriptures, and the poor Guru who is there trying to help people to understand the teaching, you understand? So it depends on people's capacity, In the West, most people do not have even the capacity to express gratitude to Ishvara. They try to do his job without the scripture because they don't have enough appreciation, value to the scripture. What to say of the Guru, you understand? So it depends on the capacity, refinement of each one of us to offer salutation to this sampradaya that began with the original guru coming through age, being transferred. Gaudapada concludes his Karika by offering prostrations, even though he taught Advaita through all his Karikas. Now he comes down to the empirical level of guru-disciple pairs, duality. Now he comes down and says, okay, let's talk on here. So there is Ishwara, yes, there is Ishwara. Ishwara reveals the scriptures, yes. And how he got here, it got here through the rishis, the ones that were really think about that, they got the knowledge and they start passing it on to student disciples. And then the tradition is what? It comes from Ishwara, passing by the rishi, coming to the guru and ended up in the disciples can assimilate the knowledge and so on. So let's go back to this Mithya empirical level and offer our prostration, our gratitude. So beautiful. We are not destroying Mithya. We are enhancing Mithya because we see from a different angle. We see the importance of this sampradaya. Gaudapada expressed gratitude to Ishwara, to his guru, and to the scriptures. Ishwara brings always the appropriate guru, and the guru brings the scripture. He does not bring psychology or physics or any things of this new age cocktail that lately is mixed up with Vedanta fragments. Ishwara brings the appropriate guru, and guru brings the scriptural knowledge. Having discovered the non-dual destination, which is Satchitananda Turiya, that is difficult to grasp if the mind, if the intellect is not properly refined. It can be so extremely subtle that the intellect needs to be very subtle as well. This Turiya, which is beyond time, which is beyond duality, uniform, beyond inclusion, it's pure. So let's together offer our namaskara to the Lord. Let's offer our namaskara to the Guru and the scripture in the way we are able to, according to our capacity. Let us offer namaskara to the Atma Turiya, Satchitananda Turiya, which is nothing but that which abides as I am, the Atma. Grasping my Turiya nature and abiding in this Turiya nature is remaining as I am and dropping all the attributes that were transferred to me due to mistaken identification. Grasping Turiya and abiding as Turiya is just remaining as I am that I am, free of attributes, because I'm no longer identified with the anatma nature of this projection of this Mithya world. Ramana Maharaj said in Sadarshana, I meditate on God by remaining as God. How are you going to meditate on Brahman? There is nothing you can grasp or hold on. There is no attribute, no notion. Satchitananda, I'm tired of Satchitananda. I want to really meditate on Brahman. And then you have to meditate as Brahman. Just understand and stay there. I am this limitless, attributeless consciousness. And then remaining like that, stopping any possible transference of attributes from the body-mind construct to your true nature is the Nididhyasana, the ultimate Nididhyasana. With this, Alatam Samtiprakaranam, the Mandukya Upanishad and the Karika are over. I don't know about you, but I feel so emotional. I could cry here. I am a romantic guy. Okay, so what else to say, no? We just give thanks to the Sampradaya, thanks to Ishwara, thanks to this opportunity. And we meet again this coming Friday with Bhagavad Gita. Unless you guys have something to say, I'm going to conclude our class today.
That was amazing, Arlindo, and an amazing series of lectures all the way through Mandukya. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really appreciate it. So
Me too.
thank you so much.
Thank you guys for making it possible, because as I often say, the guru is guru for only as long as there are students or disciples. The moment there is nobody asking for it, there is no guru. Very nice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so much. I mean, you've opened up my heart for this Shastra. I'm just going to start at the beginning all over again and read it. It's so beautiful. Thank you, Arlindo.
Okay, you're welcome. Namaste. We meet again Friday.